Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today I just want to play in my grid journal. You've seen me play in this one before. I just fancied having a play in it today, and I have an ulterior motive. This isn't a review video, so don't go, he's doing another review. I'm not. However, I did buy myself something, which is the Caran D'ache Neon 2, I believe they are. The water-soluble crayons. Now, I bought these because lots of people are using them, and I did have the range of distress crayons, and I didn't get on with them in the slightest. So I've passed them on to someone else who hopefully will enjoy them, whereas I don't. And I bought this little set. There you go, Neon 2 Aquarelli or whatever. Probably just means water. As you can see, I've not used them, and I thought I just wanted to have a play, test them out and see how I feel about them, and I haven't done a grid journal in a while. Now, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, there's 10 colours in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to include the black, but that makes 9 colours, so I thought I'll do a grid of 9 squares. Now, I thought squares anyway. Now I have this, which is just a cardboard template I cut for myself, which gives me my squares on a page. I normally draw around them with pencil. Then my next step is I mask off the areas I don't want to get dirty with paint or ink or whatever I'm doing. And then I usually turn the camera on, and that's where we start. But I thought, you know what, just in case there's a beginner out there and actually doesn't know how I do the process, I thought I'll do a start to finish with this. Now, I want 9 squares. Okay, so I've got 6, 12. So I'm going to do 3 rectangles and 3 squares, I think it works out of. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, okay, that will work. But I want to show you how I utilize the squares and turn them into triangles. So I know, how do I do that? Yeah, I do. So where I would normally draw around the entire thing, I'm only going to draw around 3 sides of this one. And what that will do is I can draw around 4. I meant to draw around 3, is join them up to make a square, a rectangle. I think I want to do this as a square. Now, you don't need a template to do this, guys. I'll line them up again, Griffiths. You don't need a template to do it. I just found that just by creating one for myself, it made life easier. I've also got one that's smaller squares. I've got one that's hexagons or honeycomb size. So I've got one. Let's just erase that because it's going to confuse me. Just get rid of this line here. I didn't mean to draw that line. Right, I'm going to move this over to here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got to make sure it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I am doing it right. So I'm just having a thoughtful moment. I think I'd like to make this the rectangle here. Yes, I've seen people use many different things for drawing around. Some people use a block of sticky notes that they draw around. Some will find a coaster that's the right size. Actually, I've done that wrong. Let's draw all 4 of these out, and then I'll just erase the line. See, this is what happens when you try to do a video, guys. Talking, designing, thinking ahead, and drawing all at the same time, maybe not the easiest thing to do. Right, so this is this one I wanted to take that line out of. So when I put tape around these, which is the bit, I'm not going to video that bit because incredibly boring, I feel. But just so you know, this will become one rectangle. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a rectangle. That gives me my 9. So just because I'm not showing you, I will talk you through the next step. So I've got a cutting board. I've got some low tack masking tape. And what I will do is, I know the measurement of this dimension here. This tape is too wide for it, so I'm just going to use a sharp knife to cut it into strips, and then I'm going to mask all this off. So I'll be back in 2 seconds for you. For me, it's probably going to be about 20 minutes because I want to do this accurately, and then we'll get on with actually creating some art. So here we go, all taped off. Now, do you need to tape off? No, you don't need to tape off. I do, because I like to have pristine frames around mine. Am I worried that they're not exactly lined up and everything? No, I'm not. I also know I'm going to use a travel hairdryer throughout this process to actually dry stages so I can go on to the next stage. This could easily peel up the tape. Not worried. So just what I'm trying to get at, guys, is I'm not stressed overly on this. This is an art journal. It's my grid art journal. I'm just having fun, and that's what I want to do. Now, I know this paper in here, yeah, it's okay. I want to say it's possibly mixed media paper, but I do know from past times in here, it tends to buckle if I use water with it. So what I'm going to do is I've got my small gel plate to one side, and I've got a brayer, and I've got 3 paints. I've got white, I've got buttermilk, and I pulled in this Lucas Krill mint. And what I want to do is just put a really thin coating onto these pages, and it'll act as a barrier between the moisture and the paper. So unfortunately, because I like to have you zoomed in so you can see the most you can, you're not going to see some of this. That is ugly. Good grief. You're not going to see a huge amount of the process of me squeezing paints out, but I don't think you need to see me squeeze paints out. So I'm just going to put a mixture of the buttermilk and the white on this one, and this little plate here, I'm just going to put some of the green. I am not looking for a perfect coating, I'm looking for interest. So basically I will just pick up bits of paint on my brayer, just like that, and then I will come in and I will pop it on here. So I just want to create something, and then periodically I will pick up some of the green, because that's a really nice green. Knocked you right out of shot. That's a really nice green, and I will keep doing this until I'm satisfied that there's a reasonable enough coating on the pages. Again, I could have used just clear gesso to do this, or if I was confident in the paper that I'm using, I wouldn't even have needed to do that. I could have just worked straight onto the paper. But as I said, in the past, will you stop doing that, Griffiths? In the past, I've worked in this grid journal and had some real problems where the paper is buckled. Am I confident this is going to absolutely cure it? No, not at all. But it might help. So now, before I can do the Caran D'ache water-soluble crayons, obviously this is going to have to be dry, or it's going to start picking up the white, picking up the paint underneath and changing the crayons into another colour. So I think that's okay. I just wanted, as I said, I'm trying to give it a kind of a neutral sort of background, because I'm going to use 9 of the colours on here, and I want to make sure that I've given them all a fair chance. So let me just put this to one side. So these Caran D'ache, from what I've seen, let's take all of them out except the white one. I didn't want to do white on this because I thought it's just not going to show up anyway. As far as I've heard or seen, you just basically scribble or draw with them, and then the water soluble so you can move them around. So, oh, drop that on the floor, Griffiths. So what I'm going to try and do is, I'm not doing in any particular order, but I'm going to try not to put those two next to each other because they're quite similar. Likewise, I'll try not to put these two next to each other because they're quite similar. So I'm just going to pull in a stick at a time, a crayon at a time, and work with them. Now, this isn't the sort of thing I do a lot of, so it's experiment time, so. Don't overdo it, because that's what I did with the last lot. Right, and as I've got the colour I didn't want to mix with it, let's just do something on here. I don't know how intense they get afterwards, so I did it wrong, didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, I guess I should have, yeah, you know, I messed it up, but hey, it is what it is. Maybe we'll do the white after all. There you go. Let's do the white. Let's do the white here. I don't expect it to make a lot of difference, but you never know. Who was screaming at the screen? That's what I want to know. Who was going, Ceri, you've messed up. You've taped too many. Or didn't you notice? Because I know I certainly didn't. Right. I want the green in a small square. Because I'm not keen on this colour green to start with. I'm looking at this and not loving it. So let's pull the blue in. It feels blue would be wrong there. Let's do blue here. I have no idea what these are going to look like. If this is absolute rubbish, we'll deal with it, people. We'll deal with it. Now, I'm quite confident using brown because I tend to use brown with vintage stuff. Right, yellow or orange? Let's do yellow down here and orange up here. Right. And breathe, Griffiths. So I'm now going to take just a regular paintbrush. I've got 2 jars of water over to one side. One is for painting with, one is for rinsing. So I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to do the white one first, to be honest with you, because it's not going to be seen anyway. But I don't want to mess my brush up and then put dark. Let's go to the green next. Oh gosh, that is a vibrant, isn't it? I'm wondering, I'm already thinking I want to lift some of that off. Can you lift it off? You can lift it off, okay. Because that was way too pungent for me. Brown, I know I've done brown in other watercolor crayons and I don't mind it. The temptation is to really flood this with a lot of water. It's a bit like watercolor, really, isn't it? Wow. Okay, the red is red. I suppose I should be aware of that. It says it on the packet, doesn't it? Okay, so as normal, I've put too much on. Yeah, I'm going to have to play more with these. I always forget how powerful these sort of colours are. I don't mind that I can see the crayon mark behind that. That sort of kind of appeals to me, to be honest. This is very, what's the phrase I'm looking for? This looks like a child playing in the sandpit, to be honest with you. I don't mind that. I don't mind being childish. I think children are some of the most creative people I'm aware of. Definitely going to have to come back in and knock some of this back a bit. Okay. Just a little bit of that out of there. So what have I learned? I've learned I'm very heavy-handed. That's what I've learned. This one doesn't work for me, really. Well, I'm certainly glad I put something on to protect the paper underneath. Right, well, as the saying goes, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, you gotta go through ugly to get to beautiful. Not always a comfortable place to be, but right, now I think I'm going to have to put something over the top of these anyway, because what's going to happen the moment I put anything else on top, it's going to reactivate and move these. Okay, not overly upset. I'm okay with that. That's not what I expected, but I can work with it. It is pretty much the full spectrum, so I think I need to put some white. This one's sort of sticking out to me now that, no, let that be a calming place. I'm wondering whether I need to dry these. I think they should dry okay. I think they'll dry slightly less intense, but I think we're okay. Right, I'm going to take some of my white acrylic paint again, and I'm going to do that paper technique I do a lot, which is I take baking parchment, I pick it up and put it down, just to give this a bit of a push into the background, because I am sure you'll agree with me that this is a bit wilder than I expected. So all I'm doing is gently laying my paper down on top of my braid out paint and picking it up. And just that action with the texture of the paint that's on the paper will change the way this feels. I think I might come in with a stencil as well. I wasn't going to, but you know what? Let's see if I can just make this work. Okay, I'm liking this now. It's a little more subtle. I bought the crayons because I'm finding as I'm working on, I have a journal where I'm doing faces, whether it's faces of animals, humans, mystical beings, whatever. And I'm finding that I'm struggling getting shading done for like the shading on the face or shading in hair. And that's why I originally bought the distress crayons, because I thought I'd be able to use them for that, and I just never got used to them. I'm hoping I get used to these, mind you. Right, how far off? I got more of that. Now the white doesn't need it, but I'm going to put white across there, or else it'll look like it's been ignored. And we don't like things to be ignored. Right, it's definitely time now for me to put a hairdryer on this. So give me 2 seconds, guys. So this is dry enough now for me to work on, and I pulled out a couple of stencils. I believe this is called Vintage Floor Tiles by Eddie Riaz from Eddie Makes Art. And this is Wonky Net, which is the large version, which is made by PM Artist Studio. It's one of their own designs. Any designs that I'm using, if you go to the bottom of my description box, you'll see Ceri Griffiths Designs at PM Artist Studio. If you click that, that will take you through to the website. Then just go into the search bar and put Vintage Floor Tiles or Wonky Net or Eddie Riaz or Eddie, yeah, just put Eddie in and it should pull up all of these for you. And they have other designs than these. These are just the ones I was fancying using today. So I thought I want to use a colour that isn't going to clash with what's on here. And I think I'm going to go with a grey, but I want to add a little white to this to make it a little less grey. So I'm just going to bring in, it's a good shade just to make sure that I've not got any problems with it. See, that's quite an intense grey, and I don't want that intensity of colour. I just want something that's enough to calm down the background, but grey will go with every single colour, and that's my aim. And I'm probably going to stamp on detail. I'm a little bit lighter than that. Detail in black, but I don't know. I might stamp in my tool. Well, that's another reason why I should be wearing an apron. Guess my t-shirt's got paint all over it now. Mind you saying that, most of my clothes have got paint all over them anyway, so there's certainly no covering up what I do for a living. Right, I think that's going to be okay. I think that'll be okay. It's quite a pleasant grey. So I'm going to use one of these makeup brushes. By now they're all over the internet, I know they are. And I've always used them for ink, but a little while ago I saw someone using these to put paints on. Now, I'm enjoying using them, putting paints on. However, you have to wash them thoroughly or put them straight into water after you use them, because the paint will stick the bristles together and you'll never get them apart. So I'm going to come in with the floral one by Eddie. I want to use it now. Let's see if I can do this with you here. Right, I'm going to take the paint and I'm going to dab it on, dab it off. I don't want clumps of it. And then I'm just going to do a gentle circular motion, trying not to push it down under the stencil. A little bit over here, I think. I'll push under the stencil there. That was just me being a bad crafter. Right, doesn't matter. I'm going to keep going. And I think I want some of it down here as well. I think I had too much paint on my brush, which is really easy to do. And I'd like a little bit here. Just see if I've got enough on here to do this. That's subtle, that was what I was looking for. And a little bit over here, as if those two are joined together. Okay, now if you have something like this where it does go under, I normally just come in and put a kitchen towel on top. Don't rub it, just press it. Because if you rub it, you'll move the paint around and it will take off the little ridges. I mean, it's acrylic paint. I'm not overly bothered. As I said, this isn't an art piece going to a museum. Right, that's given me something subtle. Now, do I want it anywhere else? I quite like it to come down there, to be honest. So, because this is a repeating pattern, I can match this up nicely. Take a little bit more of that paint, just a touch. Don't overdo it like I just did before. There you go. Still got a bit of a ridge on that one. Okay, that's fine for that. I now want to go on to the other. Now, because I've used a brush, there's not a huge layer of paint on this stencil. I'm not about to wash it, and I don't wash my stencils that often anyway. Right, now this is an older stencil, so it's a bit thicker. It's got more of a build-up of paint, so I have to be especially careful I don't have too much paint on my brush. I'm just going to gently skim over the top of this, adding in some details. I'd like to give the illusion that it's coming across there. A little bit up there, which is a little bit tricky because we're on the curve. Okay, that's fine. Now I can go to town quite a lot on the white area because there ain't a whole lot of white, anything else in the white. Let's turn it that way so I don't get carried away. I think I'd like a little bit over here. Okay, that's given it something. Actually, I'll carry that down just a little bit by there. This is one of the problems working in a ring or a spiral bound. The rings get in the way. Okay, that's getting there. Yes, I think that's getting it. Again, this won't need washing, but this will. Now, the spare paint that I've got here, I'm actually just going to add it back to the normal bottle because I know I'd never use this dark anyway. So I'm just going to pop it back into the bottle for next time. So a bit of a cleanup, and I've dried it off so it's okay now. Now I think I want to now put some metallic into this. This is the gold I prefer to use. until I find one that I find better, but I like that one. And I'm going to use my paper technique again. So I'm going to put down a little bit of gold, and I don't want a huge amount of gold on this. I don't want to turn it into a massive gold thing. I'm just going to come in and pick up areas of the gold and be quite specific with where I place it. And I don't mind that that's really subtle. That's working for me in a big way. Now I'm going to place some over the top of the grey I just did in that one area where it wasn't stenciled incredibly well. Let's take this out of the way. I'm never going to be able to do what I want to do. I need a touch more gold on here. So nothing is beyond repair, guys. I mean, worst case scenario with any form of art that you're doing is you just take it back to the building blocks and create the base color again. So if I really hated everything on here, which I don't, I could have come back in and put a coat of white paint over everything and just started again. But as I said, you've got to go through ugly before you get to beautiful. I mean, I've seen some architecture in my life and I'm like, oh my God, what are you building? And when it's finished, I'm like, okay, I was wrong. I'm happy to admit I'm wrong when I am wrong. And that needs some there. Just put a little bit more on here. Now, my intent in doing this is I am blocking out patches of confusion maybe in the pieces that we're working on. Like this pink area here looked really busy, but the moment I do that, it pushes that into the background. It's also difficult, guys, with the tape around it, because as soon as I take the tape off, they will take on a completely different identity. A little bit more up on that green. I'm wondering whether I want to come in with just a touch more white, because there are patches like here. I'm not keen on that. I quite like to do something about that there, or maybe that there. And I think this needs lightening. I think maybe just a touch of white. Right, bear with me. Let me just have a bit of a clean up and I'll be back to you because I've got to clean up before I do the next colour. So here we are again. I've got the white that I've been using all the way along. Just a little touch of it this time because I don't need a huge amount, as I said. I just want to do certain little areas. I've got my same piece of painted paper. So I just want to take that bit down a bit. This needed something because against the white it wasn't quite, against the blue it wasn't quite white enough. This needs something in there, and I think if I go in this direction it won't look repeated. This here needs a little something. If I move that over there I can get to the other page. Right, I said I wanted to do something up there. That's better. That I said needed something. And I feel in here needs something. I'm not going to reload my paper, so it's probably enough on it. Maybe a little bit by there. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't put the white, the green and the red next to each other, because obviously they always smack of Christmas. And I think by there, I might be able to get some in there as well. So I think that's enough of the white. Let's have a look. I think we're really down to the stamping now. which I'm going to do in black, because it needs black to, the black will instantly push all of this into the background and make the black stamping a feature. So I need to pull out some stamps because I don't know whether I want to do flowers, insects, pattern, combination of any of the above. And I'm back, and I think this is dry enough to work on. Right, I pulled out a selection of foam stamps. Whether I use them all or not, I don't know, but I don't know yet. So the first one I bought out this is Numbers Block Outline. There is a Numbers Block Solid as well. It's one of my designs. Again, all my foam stamp designs are linked in the description box. You just need to go through to the website and click on the image. It will take you through to PM Artist Studio. I will say this is Sketchy Spirals. This is Bubble Wrap. It might be Style 3. I'm not sure. Then this one, I can't remember whether this is Damask. It's a real small one by, I'm sure it's Darcy Sanders. And this is, I have never used it. It's a mini one. And I think this is maybe one of PM Artist Studio's original designs. I'm not even sure the name of that one. So bear with me. If you really need to know what that is, I'm sure Mariah will pop the link into the description box. Or Mariah, if this is one of yours, can you send me a link in a messenger and then I'll add it to the description box when I see it. So I'm just going to use Mars Black. And I think we're going to start with the bigger element first, which is the numbers. And I'm just going to put a little bit of black onto my mini gel plate. And I'm going to use this. This is really tarry. It's weird. It feels odd. Maybe it's the heat. And I'm just going to use that as my ink pad. So I'm just going to brayer this out. I don't want it too thick. And I think I'm going to come in first of all with the numbers. Now I'm pressing down in the middle of the stamp to give me reasonable coverage. I don't want perfect. Okay, that's an intentional. I do not want perfect. I think I'm going to put it across there. Just press it down gently in the middle and around the edges. I don't hammer it. That's not my nature. See, that was what I wanted. And I think I'm going to do it in another direction over here. Maybe across two of them. I'm eager to pull the tape off this, to be honest, guys, because I'm struggling to find out what this really looks like. Now, I can hopefully get just one line of numbers. Oh, that was lucky, right? This needs to go into water. If you're using foam stamps with water, with acrylic paint, which is what I do a lot, you will find you've got to put them into water, or what will happen is the paint will dry on the foam stamp, it will seal the stamp, and yes, you'll be able to use it in the future for paint, but using it with ink, it will not pick up ink well. So I'm just gonna, I found some calculator tape and I thought I'm going to use this for masking. And I'm going to put in some of the bubble wrap design. And I want to just come in and mask off areas so that I'm just containing it in one block. It's going out of my way because I'm going to end up... I'm using a clean piece for each time, because if I don't, what will happen is it'll curl up on me and I'll end up with it all over the place. And you'll also notice I am very much a person who does things in threes. So I was saying that I'm about to do this by here, which means it'll go across two of them, but I do want to put some up there, or actually do I want to put there? Yeah, I can do that at the top of that one. All right, just load this up one more time. And again, this can go into water. So now I'm down to these stamps. I want to make sure I leave enough room for stuff. I think I'll do this one next, sketchy spirals. But I don't want the whole width of it. This is why I'm masking stuff off. So I'll lay that on there. holding it down, hoping my fingers are not smudging any black underneath it. Put that in there. I mean, I could have just guessed where the line was and not gone over it, but I know the way I work, guys. It's not going to... Actually, I don't need it up there. Let's just go up by there. I just want a bit of this in there. And I want it there, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to... How am I going to do this? Let's put some book pages under here. I want to try and raise it up so it's higher than the rings. I think that's okay. Let's take the book pages out. That needs to go in the water. Now, with most pieces of art that I do tend to put a frame around them. So once the tape is up, I am very likely to draw a black line around them or a line in a colour. It doesn't have to be black. I'm just one of those people who has to underline stuff. Right, now I want to come in with this damask stamp. And I swear it's by Darcy. If it's not by Darcy, I apologise to the person who it is by. I'm notorious for not getting these straight. Ooh, that's exactly what this needed. See, I don't get it straight all the time. I want one right on the edge here. I have this habit of twisting it, which is really annoying. I do want it there. Right, again in the water. And on to my last little itty-bitty one. I think they're called something like itty-bitties, actually. Now, because it's such a small stamp, I'm going to do this in groups. So I'm going to do it in a group of 3 there. Now, you could have waited for all of the paint to dry and actually have done this with ink. You'd have to have chosen a permanent ink. And also the other thing is, because it's being stamped onto acrylic, you would have to give it some serious drying time. And that grouping of 3 is going to go around a corner. This feels like it needs something. Maybe I can't do 3 that way. If I put one up there, the mind might connect those. Actually, if I do one there, it might connect those. I think we might be done. Right, you've seen me use this before. I've got this plastic mesh and, oh, that's dried out over there. And I've got a feeling it doesn't need a lot. There's certain bits of this. I wonder what's wrong with this paint. It's really like chewing gum when I squeeze it out. Right, there's just areas like that needs a something. And I just want a little bit, see, just like that. And actually that needs a little something as well. Sometimes I don't know what it needs until I put it down. Let's see if I can get some in there. That would be a trick and a half. No, I didn't get it in there. Right, I think we're done. If I don't stop now, I'll really make this worse than it is. Right, I really need to now stop and clean up everything, take these out, and then I will get this dry, and then I will bring you back in and we'll take the tape off together. So here we go, guys, the big reveal. I'm going to put my hairdryer on this. Now, the way I work is I'm going to drop the volume really low. It'll come back up when I'm ready to talk again. Also, I'm going to speed up this section because, to be honest, it's going to take a couple of minutes and I don't want you sat there. If you do not like a sped up version, there are chapters in the description box. You can just click to the next chapter, but I won't be long. So the volume is going to drop and then I'll come back. And there we are. I know I do this a lot, but I'm always really pleasantly surprised when I take the tape off because it really does change the entire character. And to be honest with you, before I took the tape off, this was looking like a heck of a mess. But look at it. I'm slightly annoyed that I've got paint there. You know, a touch of white paint will take that off if I really worry about it. Now, my next stage, I mean, this is what we look like here. I'm actually really pleased with this. Do I like the Caran D'ache crayons? I actually do. I like the vibrancy of them. I like the fact that they don't fade that much, which I'm quite happy about. I do need to get to grips with how much I use, because goodness knows I used far too much on there. So my next step is I'm going to come in with a rubber or an eraser, and I'm going to take off any lines that are visible. Then I'm going to come in and I think I'm going to use, do I want to use colour? No, actually I'm going to stay with my normal black outline, and I'm going to use a black outliner and just do an outline around each of the boxes. So I'll be back and then we'll take a close-up look. And we're done. Okay, I erased or rubbed out the edges with the pencil on. I took a blade and scraped that back slightly and then touched it up with white gesso. White gesso because white gesso dries kind of semi-transparent, therefore it isn't blaringly white. If there's a little mark there, I'm okay. It's my grid journal. I then went around and I used a 0.8 Unipen liner to do these, and I did something I don't normally do. I actually used a ruler this time. Normally, as with my other ones, you'll see I do squiggly fussy lines. On this one, I thought they were so busy, I really wanted to give them a sharp line, so did that for a change. So let's have a little bit of a look at the squares. I mean, this was all about me just playing with those Caran D'ache Neon 2 Aquilia, or whatever that word is. And I'm really quite pleased with the result of those. I am glad that I put white paint over them, because I know if I'd have used any wet techniques after them, they would have moved again because they would have reacted. So guys, I hopefully you enjoyed that. For those of you who are following my altered book, the next video will be returning to that. I'm having to do quite a bit of work in the background to get that one ready, because as I said in that video, it'll take far too long if I did a video for every pair of pages. So I'm trying to get myself ahead a bit through. So take care, guys. I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.